Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. So we're back. We're going to do another video. So this time we're going to do a video. I know I'm smiling, but it's because Zusi decided to show up. Zusi! Zusi! She is not a lap cat, but the fact that she made an appearance should be special. So anyways, we're going to do a video talking about a crime that happened in 2012. And I did read ahead, but I'm not going to say nothing. And I'm going to try to keep my opinions to myself because we know how opinionated I am. But anyways, let's get into it. Oh, this story is the murder of Elaine O'Hara. On the evening of August 22nd, 2012, Elaine O'Hara went missing near Dublin, Ireland. What happened that day and during the investigation over the next 3 years proved to be one of the most shocking crimes in Irish history. On the morning of August 23rd, Sheila Hawkins planned on taking her partner's daughter, Elaine O'Hara, to the Tall Ships Festival in Dublin before she went to work for the day. Elaine had volunteered to work at the festival weeks before and was quite excited to attend. When Elaine didn't show up at their meeting point that morning, Sheila contacted Elaine's father, Frank. Frank assured her that Elaine had probably driven herself to the festival and forgot to let her know. He assured her everything was okay and not to worry about it. Regardless, Sheila went to Elaine's house and rang the doorbell, but she left for work when there was no answer. Frank had spent the previous day with Elaine after she was released from St. Edmundsbury Hospital. Elaine had spent 3 weeks there for her problems with depression. God, I can relate to that one. After leaving the hospital, Elaine and her father had lunch, where she talked about the Tall Ships Festival. Frank recalled that she was clearly excited to be a volunteer. Later, they drove to visit her mother's grave. Frank noticed Elaine texting someone during the drive, but he had no idea who. After an emotional visit to her mother's grave, Elaine went home around 4 p.m. to prepare for the festival the next day. Later that day, there was still no word from Elaine. Knowing Elaine's history of depression and self-harm, Frank decided to use his key to check on her apartment. Nothing in the apartment seemed out of place, but Frank became worried when he noticed that Elaine's iPhone was still there. Still thinking she might have simply forgotten it, he left her apartment and waited. Elaine had a history of psychological problems dating back to her early teens. During school, she was a bullying victim, and when one of her closest friends died in a car crash, Elaine had attempted to take her own life by slashing her wrists. Despite her fulfilling work with children, she struggled with her depression throughout the years. It reached a pinnacle when her mother died in March 2002, and Elaine was hospitalized again. By 2003, she seemed back on track, but it was short-lived. The psychiatrist to whom she had grown close, Dr. Anthony Clare, died in 2007. This posed another massive setback for Elaine. Dr. Clare had diagnosed Elaine with depression and borderline personality disorder. She additionally suffered from asthma, diabetes, and dyslexia. Dr. Clare said Elaine possessed a childlike innocence and was emotionally submissive, with the emotional maturity of a 15-year-old. He also noted that Elaine had developed an obsession with being restrained, imprisoned, and punished, so much so that it had become a sexual fantasy. Dr. Clare initially diagnosed her with gradually emerging psychosis. He later changed the diagnosis to borderline personality disorder and depression. Elaine was prescribed heavy depression medications and tranquilizers, so much so that her father would notice her falling asleep while eating dinner. I mean, that doesn't seem safe. She could choke while she's eating. Anyways, Frank recalled that Elaine had lost much of her late teen and early adult life to medication and hospitals. Throughout the years following her mother's death, Elaine was hospitalized a total of 14 times for depression and suicidal tendencies. In July 2012, just 6 weeks before her disappearance, Elaine was once again contemplating suicide when she checked herself into St. Edmundsbury Hospital. During her stay, the hospital staff recalled Elaine constantly talking about the Tall Ships Festival. She planned to volunteer her time for an entire week and was clearly excited to attend. By the end of her stay at St. Edmundsbury's, Elaine's new psychiatrist, Dr. Murphy, had reduced her medication significantly. He said that despite her struggles, 2012 was a good year for Elaine. She was discharged with no indication of suicidal tendencies. Frank had agreed with the doctor. Elaine seemed to be doing better, but with her sudden disappearance, he couldn't get the idea out of his head that she may have done something horrible to herself. Later that evening, there was still no word from Elaine. Frank sent her a text, "Are you still alive?" There was no response to his text message. Elaine's sister called her again. Again, no answer. The following morning, Frank and Sheila still hadn't heard from Elaine and decided to recheck her apartment. When they arrived, nothing had changed, but they also noticed that Elaine's handbag was still there. This was something he had missed when he was there before. This was deeply troubling. Elaine would never leave both her phone and a handbag. Sheila reached into Elaine's laundry basket and found a latex bondage suit and mask. Out of privacy for Elaine, she initially hid her finding from Frank. He was already upset, and this would just have troubled him even more, so she decided not to mention it. I mean, I would have mentioned that, dude. I'd be like, look what I found. This was in the hamper. Take it how you want to, but it might be a clue. Just saying. Frank and Sheila had known of Elaine's obsession with restraint and bondage since her teenage years, but they had no idea how far her fantasy had gone. Frank called the hospital to see if Elaine had possibly checked herself back in again. She hadn't. The next logical spot to check was to go back to Shanghai Cemetery. Elaine's brother-in-law, Mark Charles, drove to the cemetery where Elaine often visited her mother's grave. That's when he spotted her little turquoise Fiat. They contacted roadside assistance to get into her car, where they found 2 packs of cigarettes, a lighter, her driver's license, a portable satellite navigation system, and a mobile phone charger that wasn't for an iPhone. To the best of their knowledge, the family only knew Elaine to have one phone, an iPhone. Knowing that Elaine had a history of suicide attempts, and Shanghai Cemetery was just a short walk to the sea. Frank was distraught at the thought that Elaine had taken her own life. Now, panic-stricken, the family conducted a more extensive search of her apartment. In addition to her iPhone, handbag, and latex suit, they found all her medication for anxiety, depression, diabetes, asthma, vertigo, and cholesterol. She had also printed pages from a hunting website detailing 2 types of hunting knives, plus maps of Killikee Forest and Vartree Reservoir. Killikee Forest was a large wooded area and located adjacent to Shanghai Cemetery, where her car was found. Vartree Reservoir was about 20 miles away. In Elaine's desk, they found a notebook with website addresses for alt.com and collarme.com. Both were sexual fetish websites. Oh, was it break time? The following morning on August 24th, with still no word from Elaine, Frank O'Hara, went to the Garda, the national police force in Ireland. Police headed to the cemetery to investigate the car, the cemetery, and the nearby fields, forests, and shoreline, but they found no clues. They attempted a search by helicopter, but bad weather wasn't cooperative. Police then focused their attention on Elaine's apartment. Her apartment complex had 10 security cameras in various spots throughout the property. Elaine was seen leaving her apartment at 5:05 p.m. on the 22nd, just 36 minutes after she arrived home from visiting with her father. She wore what seemed to be a navy-colored tracksuit bottoms, white running shoes, and a blue hoodie. She was also carrying a telephone which clearly wasn't her regular iPhone. Her friends and family only knew her to have one phone, which was particularly puzzling. Police again returned to the cemetery and the adjacent park to search further. While in the park, they came across a jogger named Connor Guilfoyle and showed him a photo of Elaine. When asked if he recognized Elaine, he said he had encountered her just a few days ago. Guilfoyle had been trying out an app on his phone called Map My Run that day, so he was able to use it to give police the exact location and time that he encountered her in the park. He saw her at 5:45 p.m. Guilfoyle mentioned that Elaine had seemed a bit tense and preoccupied. She'd asked him if he knew the directions to a footbridge that crossed the railroad tracks and led toward the beach. She didn't say thank you when he told her he didn't know. She just walked away. 30 minutes later, he saw her again on the other side of the footbridge, so he knew she had made it that far. Police and family members walked the beach for hours but found nothing. Both groups assumed the worst. Elaine had taken her own life. Her case was officially listed as a missing person. 1 year later, the family laid flowers in her honor at the Shanahai Cemetery next to her mother. The summer of 2013 was sweltering hot. A heat wave that swept Ireland that year dropped the water levels in Bartry Reservoir from 20 feet down to almost 1 foot. On September 10, 2013, William Finnegan, his brother, and a friend were fishing from Sally's Bridge when they noticed something shiny beneath the water surface. When they fished it out of the water, they found handcuffs, clothing, a ball gag, restraints, and leg restraints. At the time, they thought it was amusing and left the items on the bridge. The next day, Finnegan was a bit troubled by the items and decided to bring them to the Roundwood Garda station. Garda officer James O'Donoghue treated the BDSM items as evidence, but at the time, he had no idea if a crime had even been committed. He let the items dry out, bagged them, and tagged them. O'Donoghue thought, why would someone dispose of these in a reservoir? If it's just a couple disposing of their adult toys, why not just throw them in the rubbish? Someone was trying to hide something. The following day, O'Donoghue went to the spot where Finnegan found the items to search the area more thoroughly. Unfortunately, the water was murky due to high winds, so he decided to try on another day. On the third trip to the site, Officer Donoghue searched through the silt and found more handcuffs, an asthma inhaler, and a set of keys. On the key ring were 2 supermarket loyalty cards, one of which was for the local Dunn stores. On September 16, 2013, O'Donoghue contacted Dunn stores to find out the identity of the loyalty card owner. They reported that it belonged to Elaine O'Hara. O'Donoghue wasn't familiar with her missing person case until he ran her name through the police computer. And what was happening at the same time just 20 miles away was an unbelievable coincidence. Magali Vegnet was a professional dog trainer who regularly walked her dogs through Killikee Forest. On August 21, 2013, her dog Millie emerged from some dense brush with a bone in her mouth. Magali thought nothing of it, assuming it was just an animal bone. She set it on a stack of bricks nearby and continued on her way. Over the next several weeks, Millie went into the same dense brush and emerged with a bone in her mouth. Finally, on September 13th, 2013, Millie didn't return from the bushes, and Magali went in to find her. When she found Millie, she also found a rib cage of bones. Magali still assumed there were animal bones until she came across the leg of a tracksuit pant. She touched the pant leg with her foot and realized there was also a running shoe. She immediately left and called the property owner, who then contacted the police. The police searched the area further and found 65% of a human skeleton, including a jawbone and a shovel. When DNA and dental records were searched, it was confirmed that there were the remains of Elaine O'Hara. It was September 17, 2013, one day after Officer O'Donoghue had positively identified the BDSM items and supermarket loyalty cards. Police then conducted a much more comprehensive search of the reservoir. They recovered a red and black backpack, a leather mask, multiple knives, various BDSM items, eyeglasses, and 2 Nokia phones. The phones looked similar to what Elaine O'Hara had been seen holding on the security camera footage from her apartment. The eyeglasses had a serial number on them which identified them as having been purchased from a store called Specsavers. Further investigation revealed the prescription was Elaine O'Hara's. Police had a forensic computer team search Elaine's computer and found that she frequented dating sites that catered to the BDSM world, alt.com and collarme.com. Computer forensic specialists found that she had talked to several users on these sites, but one username in particular stood out, Architect72. The messages between them referenced cutting myself and punishment involving a master's scalpel. Architect72 was also linked to a Gmail account with the username Fetish Boy. Elaine had confided in friends and family members that she had been having a BDSM relationship with an architect, but her friends knew nothing about him other than he was married. Unbelievably, the 2 Nokia phones powered on after more than a year submerged in the reservoir. Each phone had only one contact, one with MSTR and the other with SLV, clearly master and slave with the vowels removed. What they found on the phones was quite disturbing. Thousands of text messages spanning several years between the two revealed a very dark relationship. MSTR, I'm a sadist. I enjoy others' pain. You should help me inflict pain on you and help me with my fantasies. MSTR, I want to stick my knife in flesh while sexually aroused. Blood turns me on and I'd like to stab a girl to death. MSTR, if you ever want to die, promise me I can do it. MSTR, my urge to rape, stab, and kill is huge. You have to help me control or satisfy it. MSTR, every time I stab or strangle you, I want you to think this is it, and every time I let you live, you owe me your life and are grateful and worship me. MSTR, either you let me stab you or you help me do it to someone else. MSTR, lots of people have stabbed and got away with it. Why not me? SLV replied several times that she was frightened and didn't want to talk of killing or blood anymore. SLV, I'm too young to die. SLV, you have this hold over me that terrifies me. SLV, I'm just so scared. Do you know, sir, that I'm scared of you? You have this hold over me. SLV, I know my life is in your hands every time we meet. SLV, please don't mention killing for a while, just until I settle back into life. The phone number for MSTR was cross-referenced with the contacts on Elaine's iPhone, and it matched a contact named David. Investigators called the number, but there was no answer. Investigators found that the cell phones were burner phones, disposable phones purchased at a store in Dublin under the fake name Gurún Cashholm. However, they found someone with a very similar name, Gordon Chisholm, and brought him in for questioning. After questioning, police realized he was not their man. While poring over the text messages, police finally got a potential break. SLV. Went well today, sir. I take it you are now a daddy again. Thanks for last night, sir. Really needed it. MSTR. Yes. Beautiful baby girl. Child's name excluded. Glad you enjoyed the other night. Many more sessions to come. See you sometime over the weekend. Those texts were from March 31st, 2011. Police knew that MSTR had a newborn baby girl born on that day, and they knew her name. Another clue they got from the text was MSTR came fifth in flying. This one was dated June 11th, 2011. Police initially thought he was possibly a pilot, or maybe it was a reference to fly fishing. However, after searching for competitions around that time, they soon realized he was referring to model airplanes. He had apparently come fifth in a model airplane flying competition. Roundwood Model Aeronautical Club had held a competition during that time, and the person that came in fifth was named Graham Dyer. Coincidentally, when looking into Dyer's background, they found that he'd just had a baby born earlier that year. During the same time, Detective Chief Superintendent Diarmond O'Sullivan received a tip from a confidential informant who claimed they knew who killed Elaine O'Hara. The tipster pointed to an architect named Dyer, Graham Dyer. Police now knew they had their man. Super O'Sullivan found Dyer's house. During the night, he took his garbage from the curb and sifted through his trash. From the contents, investigators were able to put together a DNA profile of Graham Dyer. The mattress in Elaine's apartment had puncture marks, possibly from a knife, plus blood and semen stains. Forensic technicians found DNA from the semen stains, which didn't match anything in the police database, but it matched the DNA required from Graham Dyer's trash. On October 17, 2013, police knocked on Graham Dyer's door. There was no answer, so they went to the side door, and Dyer answered in his pajama bottoms and no shirt. Graham Dyer was a family man, a seemingly respected architect working in Dublin whose hobbies included fast cars and model airplanes. None of his friends, family, or co-workers knew of his double life. Dyer lived with his wife and two young children in Foxrock, a quiet suburb of Dublin. To the majority of the world, he was just an average guy, but it was now apparent that the life he displayed was a charade. To look at him, you would never imagine such a monster could lurk behind his eyes. Dyer wrote to his wife from jail and insisted he did not murder that awful woman. His wife subsequently left him. The trial was one of the biggest in Ireland's history. The story dominated headlines because of Dyer's seemingly normal life. But we've seen that before with serial killers too, like Ted Bundy. Come on. The amount of evidence that piled up after the extensive investigation was overwhelming. The security cameras from Elaine's apartment showed Dyer visited the building 9 times between January and August 2012. On July 9th, the video showed Elaine and Dyer entering the elevator shortly after 5 p.m. Then Dyer leaving 40 minutes later. Footage on August 13th and 15th showed Dyer carrying a similar bag to the bag found in the reservoir. Elaine's internet search history revealed searches for Graham Dyer architect. Gordon Chisholm, the man who was initially suspected because his name resembled the name under which the phones were purchased, Gurún Chisholm, ended up being an old acquaintance of Dyer. Even Dyer's very own son pointed him out in the security footage from Elaine's apartment complex. Dyer's personal phone was turned off between 5 and 9 p.m. the night Elaine went missing. On Dyer's computer, there was an online order on August 17, 2012, for a hunting knife delivered to his work address on August 21st, the day before Elaine went missing. Additionally, there was erotic horror found on his computer, and he had shared files with Elaine about stabbing and killing. God, this is gruesome. His computer also had videos he had filmed of himself and 4 women, where he could be seen stabbing the women during sex acts. Many of the videos featured Elaine O'Hara. Several of the texts from Dyer matched the details of and events from his personal life. He often mentioned his children by name, spoke of his daughter's birth, and referenced the Polish embassy he visited for his architectural firm. There were further references to tattoos, car repair bills, purchasing a bicycle to get fit for murder, and the 15% pay cut he received at work. Everything from the text synced perfectly with Dyer's real life. Zeus, I am freaking cold. Holy shit. I'm cold. Shut up. Oh my god, I'm at 30 minutes. I gotta finish this story. Despite the ridiculous amount of evidence against him, Dyer still insisted he was innocent. The courtroom was filled on January 22nd, 2015, when the trial began. The defense tried to argue that all the evidence was circumstantial and called only 3 witnesses. The prosecution called 194 witnesses, including Dyer's wife, who testified that the shovel found alongside Elaine's remains was from their garden. Gemma Dyer recognized the shovel because it had orange paint splatters on it when they were painting the garden fence at their home in Foxrack. Additional witnesses included Dyer's former partner and mother of his adult son, Emer McShea. McShea? Okay. We already know I suck with names. She described him as controlling and abusive and stated that he'd had the desire to stab her during sex. She testified that he had asked to bring a knife into the bedroom. What is wrong with people? I don't understand. She eventually agreed to his request as long as he kept it on the side table. But Dyer couldn't control himself and had to hold it while they had sex. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Deuces. You are on your own. I am absolutely not. Oh, absolutely not. What is wrong with people? Deuces. Oh my God, no. Darcy Day, a young American woman whom Dyer had chatted with online, testified by video link. Darcy testified how he had confided his fantasies of killing Elaine O'Hara. He said he used to cut her in the stomach area and stuff, that it was mutual and sexual. He basically wanted to go after her, and if she wanted to, he wanted to kill her and come after me. I don't understand. Zeus, this is a fucking wicked story, dude. Wicked story. Photoshopped images on Dyer's computer showed Darcy lying topless with her throat slit and her intestines coming out of her stomach. Police also found a document of fiction titled Killing Darcy, in which he fantasized about stabbing the American woman to death while they had sex. Still, Dyer's defense team claimed that because pathologists did not determine a cause of death, there was no evidence that Dyer was responsible. They argued that Elaine had been released that morning from a psychiatric hospital for having suicidal thoughts and that even her own family believed she had taken her own life. They presented the text messages the prosecution was using as evidence were nothing more than sexual fantasies. The prosecution, however, argued that the next messages detailed a very specific plan for Elaine's death and that she had repeatedly asked not to be stabbed and not to be beaten by Dyer. They argued that Dyer knew she was being released from a psychiatric hospital and had lured her to her mother's gravesite in the remote mountain area, knowing that the police and family would have believed Elaine had taken her own life. The trial lasted 45 days, and on March 27, 2015, the jury of 7 men and 5 women returned with a verdict: guilty. Graham Dyer was sentenced to life in prison. The judge said he agreed 110% with the jury's decision. The trial was emotionally taxing on the jury members, and the judge exempted them from jury duty for the next 30 years. If it weren't for the strange series of coincidences, the disobedient dog, the summer drought, etc., Graham Dyer may not have been caught. It's still unknown who Chief Superintendent O'Sullivan's confidential informant was, as that evidence was not used in the trial. The following is the final chain of text messages between SLV and MSTR sent between August 14th and 22nd, leading up to the death of Elaine O'Hara. August 14th. MSTR. Am I right in thinking you don't want to die anymore? SLV. I'm sorry I made you so mad. MSTR. You'll have to take a punishment. If anything happened to you, who knows about me? SLV. No one knows your name, and no one knows about you really. They know I'm into BSM and that I meet people. MSTR. Okay, let's keep it that way. If I ever meet your neighbor, I'm your brother David, okay? SLV. I already told the girl next door that you are a friend. MSTR. Would she make a good victim for me? SLV. Too close to home. MSTR. Okay, we will start going on outdoor walks for play and hunting. SLV. Sir, do I have to come? MSTR. Yes. Help me plan it. You won't be there, but I want to do it this year. SLV. Every time I think about it, sir, I want to heave. MSTR. Just think about me being happy doing it. It's what I like. If you were any good, you would help me find her. Hold her down while I kill her. SLV. Sir, are you going to stab me? MSTR. Yes, I'm going to make you bleed. Nice and deep in your guts. What is wrong with people? Like, none of that is normal talk. Okay, anyways. August 16th. SLV. I am scared that the punishment will go on for a long time. MSTR. No, swift and brutal. Might even kill you. August 17th. MSTR. Did a huge walk up the Dublin Mountains yesterday. Plenty of lonely hill walkers up there. August 20th. MSTR. Morning, slave. Looking forward to seeing you Wednesday. SLV. I'm not being stabbed. MSTR. Okay, but you must take some sort of punishment. SLV. I know. MSTR. What kind of punishment would you like? Choices are hard. Anal with stabbing and choking. Whipping till bleeding. Chained overnight in a forest. Choked unconscious. If you don't pick one, then it's all 4. SLV. I don't know, sir. Sorry, Doc came in. Sir, you know I can't make choices. MSTR. Okay, overnight in woods. SLV. Sir, I'll take stabbing. MSTR. Okay, but I must see blood and I want to do it outdoors. SLV. Please, sir, indoors. MSTR. Why? SLV. I'm afraid if outdoors you might kill me. MSTR. I won't kill you. If I was, it would be indoors hanging once you are chained up. SLV. I know, I mean that's it, nothing else. Elaine's next text explained that she's planning on attending the Tall Ships Festival. So she asks, SLV, I was wondering if you could keep the visual marks to a min, sir, please. MSTR, that's a big request, but okay. SLV, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I can cover wrists and arms. It's the neck, sir. MSTR, don't worry, I won't stab you in the neck. SLV, maybe not, but you want to. August 21st. SLV, are you mad at me, sir? MSTR, no, but you must be punished for trying to kill yourself without me and for being unavailable for so long. SLV, yes, sir, I know. Master needs to punish slave. MSTR, I'm going to get blood on my knife for this. A lot of blood, then we can move on. SLV, yes, sir. MSTR, that's my good slave. Master is very horny and needs to put his cock in his slave. What is wrong with people and why do they think this is okay? Like, I'm having a hard time reading all this shit, guys. Just saying. Just saying. SLV, Master, may I ask you something? MSTR, yes, but don't upset me before I am about to cut you. SLV, do you go by the Gorean way and is it just a fantasy? Gorean, I mean. MSTR, it's a real lifestyle that people really live by. Yes, you are my slave, but I need you to be serving me, not stuck in a hospital. I wish I could fuck you on my lunch break. What's wrong with this conversation here, guys? None of that shit's normal. SLV, how do we do that, Master? MSTR, you need to get out of hospital and serve me. SLV, yes, Master, I'm out tomorrow, sir. It will be after lunch as the doc wants to see me after lunch at 2:30 before I go. Master then turns the conversation again to suicide. MSTR, are you happy going on like this forever? SLV, sir, please stop. You want me to be in here forever? Can't we just have a normal master-slave relationship without this, please, sir? MSTR, okay, but you must promise me next time you fall down that I end you. Hopefully you will be okay, though. None of that sounds normal to me. This is all so messed up, guys, so messed up. SLV, okay, I promise, sir. MSTR, I mean it now. I will get into trouble if I don't do it at this stage. SLV, what do you mean? How could you get into trouble? It's suicide. It's fucking suicide. Don't be troubling yourself. It's suicide. No one will look into it. MSTR, I want to watch as well and be there for you so you won't be lonely. SLV, shit, that's shit. I am lonely all the time and you're not here. That's how I get like this. You just want a hard on. You're being fucking selfish. No reply from Master. SLV, sorry, sir. Just get angry talking about it. I just want to try again. Be a good person, slave friend. And I want to try and have a normal life without talking and thinking about that. Please let me try. MSTR, okay. Later that day, MSTR, it's up to me and you have a big punishment coming up. Getting knifed in the guts. SLV, I know, sir. I better be tied up good, sir. Please, not outdoors, please. This is rough, man. MSTR, I know you'll be well bound and gagged and tied to a tree deep in the forest. I have a spot picked out. SLV, what if we get caught? MSTR, we won't get caught. SLV, I'm not leaving my apartment. You will have to drag me out. MSTR, you will do what you are fucking told. I want outdoor play and you're going to follow instructions or I will double punishment or hang you. SLV, how do you know we won't get caught? MSTR, I found a really, really remote place. No one will find us. SLV, sir, do I have to be naked? MSTR, it's very deep in the forest and yes, you do. I don't want blood over your clothes. SLV, now I'm terrified. MSTR, trust me, it will be exciting. SLV, sure, sir. So what time do you want me tomorrow, sir? I was going to see my niece before I went home and they are holes sick next 2 weeks. MSTR, 5:30. SLV, do I have to drive, sir? MSTR, a bit, yes. SLV, now I'm really scared. MSTR, don't be scared. Elaine reassured Dyer that she didn't mention him during any of her counseling conversations. MSTR, that's good. No one should know about me. They would still find me in your emails and way back in your alt history, so relax. MSTR, I'm heading to the spot now to double check. August 22nd, the day of the murder. SLV, this place, although a pain in the ass at times, is safe because I know what's coming and I don't want to leave. I'm just so scared. Do you know, sir, that I'm scared of you? You have this hold over me. MSTR, do not fear death. SLV, please don't mention killing for a while, just until I settle back into life. MSTR, but tonight's punishment will be like me pretending to do someone for real. It's important to me that you feel it's my right to take my slave's life if I want to. Every time I stab or strangle you, I want you to think this is it, and every time I let you live, you owe me your life and are grateful and worship me. SLV, I know my life is in your hands every time we meet. She texted around midday to say she had gotten out earlier than expected, was on her way home, and to ask if he had any instructions. MSTR, have a bath, make sure your cunt shaved, no underwear, not even a bra. Loose clothes, footwear for mud, make sure you are fed, take painkiller. SLV, can I do what I want until I am needed? MSTR, like what? SLV, I don't know yet, just anything I want to do. MSTR, you will be in a lot of pain later and next few days. SLV, it's going to be that bad. I'm going to be busy next few days. Tall ships, please don't make it really sore, please. MSTR, you will have stab wounds, you know the drill. The last few didn't bleed, these will. SLV, sir, how many? MSTR, as many as I like. SLV, yes, sir. MSTR, I want you to park at Shinahog Cemetery at 5:30. Leave your iPhone at home. Just bring slave phone and keys. You will get further instructions there. SLV, sir, are we doing this if it's raining? Are you coming back to my place? I need to clean, it's dirty. MSTR, yes, if it's raining. No, I won't be back at your place. SLV, no offense, sir, but do we have to do it in the rain? It's cold. MSTR, don't worry, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. SLV, yes, sir. MSTR, don't be nervous, enjoy being told what to do. SLV, easier said than done, sir. MSTR, empty yourself and become nothing. You are property and a piece of slave meat. Your only job is to serve. SLV, can I wear socks with runners? Can I bring inhaler? Didn't have time to eat. Will we be late back? MSTR, yes, to socks. Leave inhaler in car. You should be back at car about 8. More painful getting stabbed on empty stomach. Suit yourself. See you in a bit. X. SLV, here, sir. MSTR, okay, take only keys and slave phone. Make your way on foot to park next door and text me in the middle. SLV, please let me take inhaler, sir. MSTR, okay. SLV, okay, sir. Is the park with the plain fields in the top part or bottom? MSTR, okay, cross railway bridge in the next park near cliffs. SLV, I'm lost. I'm in the football field now. MSTR, look for railway footbridge near footpath. SLV, here now, where's park? MSTR, cross bridge and head for opposite end of park near steps to see. SLV, okay, on the footpath, yes, no. MSTR, yes. SLV, steps here? She texted him to say she was at the steps. Elaine received the final text at precisely 6 p.m. on August 22nd, 2012. MSTR, go down to the shore and wait. A total of 2,612 texts were sent throughout the years between those two phones. With the final text, Graham Dyer then achieved his ultimate sexual fantasy of stabbing a woman to death, presumably during sex. The following is the victim's statement that was read in the courtroom after the conviction. We know that we are not the only victims of this crime. We recognize that other families are suffering too, and we feel for every other person affected. Words cannot adequately describe how we are feeling, and we would never want any other family to go through what we have endured over the past 2.5 years. We have lost a daughter, a sister, and a friend in the most brutal, traumatic, and horrifying manner. We also have many unanswered questions, which we will have to carry with us for the rest of our lives. Elaine was a very intelligent girl who never fully realized her potential due to her psychological difficulties. She was prescribed a lot of medication, and this did have an impact on her ability to be a regular teenager, particularly socially. She was emotionally immature and very trusting of anyone who showed her kindness. In later years, her medication was reduced, hospital stays became less common, and she functioned more effectively. However, she had missed out on those important formative teenage years. She had a strong work ethic and loved working with children, as she could relate to them better than to adults. She was always there to help and assist others, giving lifts, covering shifts at work, or collecting many of the items for the Christmas fair at school. Elaine adored her niece, who was also her goddaughter, and loved reading, painting, and playing with her. For months after she went missing, her goddaughter would point out cars that were like Elaine, saying, "There's Elaine's car." We smiled and nodded. How can you explain something to a young child that we couldn't understand ourselves? Since she left us, Elaine has had 2 more nieces, but they will never know their aunt. Elaine's ambition was to be a teacher, and she was studying Montessori. In 2014, we collected a BA in Montessori education, which was awarded to her in St. Nicholas Montessori School. She would have been so happy and proud to stand up in her gown and hat to accept that degree herself after overcoming many obstacles to finally get the qualification she longed for. But unfortunately, this was not to be. When Elaine went missing in August 2012, we were devastated. At that time, she appeared to us to be progressing well in life. She had a new apartment, was studying, and working in 2 jobs. She had a setback in July of 2012 and was voluntarily admitted to hospital. However, on weekend release, she was in very good form and was looking forward to the future. The assumed suicide in August 2012 was a surprise to all the family, but lack of evidence pointing to any other cause for her disappearance meant we reluctantly needed to accept that she had most likely taken her own life around Shinhag. We spent many hours walking the shore from Black Rock to Bray, searching for any sign of her. A year after her disappearance, we laid flowers in the sea at Shinhag in her memory and in an effort to find some closure for us as a family. Our attempt at closure was premature, as when in September 2013, Elaine's remains were discovered. The Guardia investigation changed from that of a missing person to murder. This led to further anguish for the family as we now face the unimaginable horror of Elaine having been murdered. The trial has been an incredibly difficult experience. It was distressing to see Elaine's private life laid bare before the nation, despite the fact that she was the victim. Some of the reporting in the print media was insulting to Elaine and deeply upsetting for the family. At times, Elaine's life was relegated to a lurid headline in a newspaper. It was heartbreaking for us to listen to the texts Elaine received from a depraved and diseased mind. The manipulation of her vulnerability was apparent, and when she tried to resist, she was reined back in. We can hear her voice in those texts, just wanting to be loved. Hearing the contents of the videos will haunt us forever. We were upset that the credibility of our evidence was questioned, as throughout the 2.5 years, all we wanted was the truth and justice for Elaine. We will probably never know what happened in Killikee on Wednesday, the 22nd of August 2012, but there are questions that trouble us. When did Elaine realize it was not a game anymore? When did she realize that the intention was to kill her for real? Did she try to run? Was she restrained? Did she suffer much? Could she and did she cry out? Was she left on the mountain to die alone? This is our life sentence. For us, there is no parole. And that is the end of that story, guys. That was fucking god awful. And then I got a phone call, and now I have a whole another 5 minutes instead of just adding it to that long ass video. But anyways, Lucy did stay here with me. Um, you can hear her. This is what she does. But I'm really glad she stayed here because that was pretty sick and gone awful and really hard to get through. So, anyways, there's some horrible people in the world, and they do something to somebody that's vulnerable like that, that had so much to offer and so much to live for and wasn't even that old, to be honest. But I don't know, it's just another sick story of what can happen when there's a sick person that finds somebody that's vulnerable like that. I don't really have much else. If you guys have any comments, please leave them down below in the comment section. If you guys want to see more videos like this or see Zeusy in these videos, leave that down in the comment section too. And as always, if you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And as always, I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.